Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bow and Arrow Tarot and the Toxic Love reading for this Monday, April 29th. So, the way this works is I will be pulling three signs, 1, 2, and 3, for today's toxic readings. We have Virgo, Libra, and Pisces. All right, well, that's it. Those are the three signs. Put them right there, all right? And we are going to jump right into it. All right, Virgo, you were the first sign pulled. And so we are going to jump right into pulling your twin flame shadow cards for this reading. We have stagnant, excuses, repelled, projecting, and lust. So those are your toxic energies. Your twin flame shadow energies in this connection: stagnant, excuses, repelled, projecting. Ooh, one of the worst. And we have lust. So let's get right into your actual cards for this reading. This is a toxic love reading, Virgo. So we're going to be taking a look at a toxic connection that you have with someone. This could be someone you're with right now, someone from the past, someone who's coming in. Whatever the case is, we're looking at a shadow reading here, the toxic side of this connection. All right, coming in, King of Wands, Ace of Swords, Two of Pentacles, and a Four of Pentacles. Your person in this toxic connection is coming in with Page of Pentacles, Nine of Pentacles energy, Nine of Cups energy, and the Eight of Swords. Gaslighting. At the bottom of the deck, the Star. All right, so star energy can be Aquarius energy, right? We're going to put this over here, right underneath of you. Your bottom energy, basically bottom of the deck, behind all of this is a wish fulfillment, right? Behind all of this is a desire for a wish fulfillment. But let's go ahead and first of all, take a look at your read. So as we come into your first energies, right away I see here, Virgo, King of Wands for you and Page of Pentacles for them. So you're coming off as somebody who's definitely in a dominant position in this toxic connection here, but I think you're coming off even almost a little bit arrogant, right? You're very sort of confident, right? Very, very confident of yourself, and definitely, I'm going to say to a degree here, you think you know what's going on with this person. You think you've got them all figured out. Page of Pentacles is them coming in. So they're up to a lot of little things, right? You're dealing with somebody who's up to a lot of little tasks, a lot of little, they're busy. They're doing things, right? And ultimately, as I look ahead, I think right now, this is just basic energy here. Right now, it's like this feeling of, oh, okay, everything's fine. Everything's all right here. They're just busy, but they're really kind of like maneuvering, right? They're doing a lot of maneuvering here. Ultimately, as I look ahead, this has a lot to do with money, okay? Money, affluence. But let's go ahead and get some clarity here. First of all, as we go deeper into this message, we have the Ace of Cups and the Four of Swords. So yeah, you're coming into this with a feeling of love, right? This is a new person in your life. And yeah, you're very confident. You're confident about this connection. You're confident about this this love exchange here. But more, it's a feeling definitely of arrogance here, right? Because ultimately your person, they're being very strategic. You're dealing with somebody who's coming off as very sort of naive and innocent and, all good, just nothing, nothing wrong there. Nevertheless, they're very, very busy. And at the same time, they're kind of strategizing. They're thinking about their next plan. Four of Swords energy. They're not telling you the whole picture. Okay. And you're in love here. Right away, I have a feeling of someone who is an opportunist, right? Somebody who's really taking the opportunity with you here, right? We're going to get deeper into what is toxic here, but initially, right away, I'm feeling here that, for you, Virgo, it's very much an unevenly matched connection. You're coming in with kind of this real confidence and love and kind of like, oh, this is great. And your person here is like eating it all up. There's no cup energy here on their side, apart from over here when we get to the Nine of Cups, but there's no like, oh, big spark as there is right here with you. There's a lot more thinking and a lot more planning. And it seems to me, Virgo, that you're very much of a good catch. This is definitely a reading for Virgo that is a good catch, meaning you have you have money, you have a job, you have, you know what I mean, you're stable, you have things, your material world is doing quite well. Okay. Um, and I'm not sure that you know it or not, but you may indeed be getting used here by someone, in particular by this person in this toxic connection. Before I get into clarifiers for these, let's move on ahead. When they see you as somebody who is really, um, who's really getting a lot of blessings, a lot of affluence. Nine of Pentacles is blessings coming in. That's money that comes in. You certainly worked for it, right? And they see that. They see that you are like a hard worker, but you're also at a stage. This is definitely a reading for a Virgo who's at a stage where the rewards are coming in for a lot of hard work. You may have worked for years for what you're getting right now. Nevertheless, it's coming in. And this person in this toxic connection with you is very keenly aware of that. And that's what they see when they see you. They see money. You see them, Ace of Swords energy. Well, I think that you begin to see with that Ace of Swords some clarity coming in, okay? Initially, yes, there is this love connection here, and I think you really enjoy your time with them. But at some point over this next period, as you come here to this reading, this toxic love reading, I think there is some clarity that begins to come into you. Because when you see them, you begin to see a little bit more of them rather than just sort of the projection that they're giving you. I know that projecting can indicate other things, right? Projecting yourself, projecting your darkness, projecting your toxicity, your fears on other people. But there's also here a component of somebody who's projecting an image that is just not accurate to who they truly are. And there's your decision that comes in. Two of Swords. Okay. And there is, okay, 10 of Wands. They really, this is interesting here. They begin with this 10 of Wands coming in. They begin to sort of not be able to see, which way to go, which way to move, how to move forward here. There's a blockage here. And at the same time, there is an opportunity for a breakthrough with your person. I say this in such a way to mean everything that they're trying to do or strategizing here, it's really not working with you, right? And I think they find themselves kind of like unable to sort of like make the decision that is the good decision or the right decision. They keep coming at this relationship, at this connection from a place, I'm going to say as I look ahead at Eight of Swords, from a bit of a toxic place, because you're dealing with an opportunist. At the very heart of this reading is someone who is an opportunist and who is engaging with you in a relationship, a new relationship, from the point of view of opportunity. You offer an opportunity to them to either increase their money, resonate up, increase their status. There's a certain wish fulfillment here for them. Virgo, you may be somebody who has a little bit of clout. You may be somebody who has, you know what I mean? There's something that you have that they want. And the toxicity here is that it's not coming from a place of love. It's not so much that they're in love with you. It's they're in love with what you have. And that's what they want. And yet they come up against a wall and a wall and a wall and a wall in terms of breaking through. Whatever they are trying to achieve with you, it doesn't seem to be working. You, on the other hand, clarity comes in for you, and you begin to say to yourself, hang on a second, I need to make a decision here with this person. I think information starts to come in, clarity. You begin to see, right? Because as I say, a lot of their tactics or whatever it is that they've been planning, strategizing at, doesn't seem to be working. And so because it's not working, because you're also kind of hip to what they're doing. You're beginning to see signs, you're beginning to see sides of this individual that's giving you a lot more clarity on the type of person you're dealing with. You may begin to feel a bit repelled. You know, you may begin to feel a little bit repelled. There may be some excuses coming in here as well, coming from your person as well, to sort of explain some of their behavior. How do you guys see yourself in a relationship? Well, you're beginning to see Two of Pentacles and they have Nine of Cups. You're beginning to see that they've got you doing a lot. All of a sudden, you're doing all these different things. You're having to juggle more. Again, I feel like this is a person who is an opportunist, and so they want something from you, and at the same time, they're also a bit of a manipulator. So they're trying to get more out of you, and suddenly you find yourself working more, juggling more. Suddenly you're having to come up with more cash than you had to come up with before. It doesn't seem to be a problem for you, but you know, it's like you find yourself in this connection with this person. You find that you're just constantly having to be moving around. They're happy. They have a Nine of Cups. They find themselves to be quite happy and quite taken care of. So to a certain degree, they're getting what they want here. Also, at the same time here with this 10 of Wands, though, I do feel like they're not getting their ultimate desire just yet, but they're getting close to it. They're very close to being able to break through here with this 10 and have everything they desire, right? And yet, I think that a change comes because you find yourself, Four of Pentacles, really getting hip to, and there it is, Death comes in. You find yourself really getting hip to what's going on, and a Knight of Wands, Son of Wands here, the same as the Knight. So, interestingly enough, there's a huge change that comes in because you're very aware. You get some clarity that comes in. You begin to be repelled because, of course, Death comes in to this connection, and you find yourself saying, "Hang on a second. I need to hold on to what's mine." This person is definitely a user, an opportunist, somebody who will come and really just take everything and then leave you a husk and split, you know. But this is just the beginning stages. You really figure this out. And so Death, absolutely. In tarot, of course, we talk about a death in terms of just a change, an end, not physical death, but an end to a situation, a relationship, etc. Just a change, the beginning of a change that is irreversible. And that is really the main point of the Death card in tarot is that a transformation that is beginning, but it's a transformation that is irreversible, that you can never come back from. And so this is what happens here. Wands energy, Eight of Swords. They really begin to see what's happening. They realize what's going on. They realize that you're slipping out of their fingers. They realize that they're beginning to sort of like show their hand. And Eight of Swords energy, they really resort to some childish, toxic behavior. They play victim. There may be a lot of crying and gaslighting and "I'm not doing this, why," you know, blah 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? Like, it absolutely feels like they get scared, right? They get scared. Excuses again coming in. That, you know, those two cards, I'm going to say excuses, repelled, and possibly projecting as well, are those energies that really stuck out here for this particular read. But yeah, they really resort to some tactics, but you hunker down. You're like, I think you work this out fairly quickly. It starts in love, but you really pretty quickly realize who you're dealing with. Portal, yes. And there's a portal, open, close. You know, take that for the way as you will, right? A portal in terms of opening up yourself to different layers, energies, voices, right? Messages. You know, open yourself up more so that you can get all the information that you need coming in, right? And in order to do that, sometimes we have to step through a portal, you know, in terms of our perception and the way that we see the world around us. We have to be prepared to go through and be in a different space and to look at things from a different point of view. That is one of your oracle cards. The other one I'm pulling right now is number 43, the ending that opens the space for the beginning. Beautiful. So this is the Death, right? The Death. The ending of this connection really does open up space for a beginning of something good, for a beginning of something that is powerful and true, really. Here, this, you know, the toxicity here is that you're dealing with someone who just is not true to their heart in a sense, right? They're gonna, they may even say, I love you, blah, blah, blah. But they don't mean it. They're here for an ulterior motive. And anybody who's willing to enter into a relationship with someone who knows that they have strong, legitimate feelings for them for an ulterior motive is a user, an opportunist, and is a toxic individual. And so this is the toxicity here. I am gonna pull just two animal spirits for this read, and then we will be done. Two animal spirits. Show me for Virgo. Yes, you definitely wake up and you realize, and this decision here, this is it. This decision you begin to make, or you begin to, I want to say indulge in. You don't make it. It's not a snap decision, but it's like your mind begins to, look at the alternative and begins to seek out a choice here, right? Because as I say, there's so much clarity that comes in. The gazelle and the phoenix. So death and rebirth. And this is the death, the rebirth. There's probably a very strong love connection on the horizon for you as you come out of this toxicity here, Virgo. Gazelle energy. Beauty, grace, right? The gazelle is the gazelle is fire energy, actually, and the phoenix is ether. So, and these animal spirits, the phoenix, of course, life and death and rebirth. More than anything, the phoenix represents rebirth from ashes, from nothing, from just the essence being reborn. And so really being a whole different version of yourself. And then gazelle, of course, the gazelle is the animal spirit for grace, right? Grace and swiftness and speed, but also for heightened awareness because the gazelle always has to be vigilant. These are like the potato chips of the savannah. Everything eats the gazelle. So the gazelle has to be vigilant, has to be hyper alert and aware at all times and ready to move. And so this is the animal spirit energy that's here. And I think that's what you're embodying here. There is a feeling of hyper awareness, understanding, seeing this person for who they are and what they're really trying to bring to the table, rather, and just following through with a real rebirth coming in and a doorway for possibly a strong new love connection coming in, perhaps as well for you, a wish fulfillment. All right, guys, this is the Toxic Love reading for Virgo. We are going to come right back for the Toxic Love reading for Libra, the second card that was pulled today. All right, Libra, you were the second sign that we pulled for today's Toxic Love reading. So we're going to jump right into pulling out, two have already jumped out, pulling out your Twin Flames shadow cards, shadow energies, scorned and unlovable. Okay. Oop, this one wants to come out too. Cowardly. These are some cards that rarely come out in my readings. Insecure. And we have invading. All right. So these are possible toxic energies in this connection. Let's go ahead and get right into your spread. All right. Libra, scorned, unlovable, cowardly, insecure, invading. We're going to see which, if any of these energies present themselves in this reading. Let's start off with you coming in. High Priestess, Six of Cups, King of Pentacles, and the shadow side, the devil. And this deck is called the shadow side 15. This is actually a card for the devil. Your person, Three of Cups, Page of Swords, Ace of Cups. Interesting. And Eight of Swords. So the Eight of Swords came out in the same position for the last reading for Virgo. At the bottom of the deck, we have the Queen of Cups, right? She's so strong and emotionally secure, and yet at times she can be quite petulant and childish. You know what I'm saying? So let's take a look at your two energies, you and your person in this connection. High Priestess for you and Three of Cups for them. So for you right now, you've got a sixth sense about something. You know that something is really off with this individual, and it feels like there's some history here, some knowledge that you have of them, and you see kind of what they're up to. At the same time as well, you're keeping your own kind of secrets in terms of how you're feeling right now. You're not giving any information away I'm going to tell you straight off the bat, Libra, this feels like an ex or a scorned, and this is coming through hard, a scorned lover. Okay. They're coming around, they're socializing around you. All of a sudden, they're in your social group again, they're around your friends again, and you're just watching it all. You're kind of watching them, and you're like, all right, I see you. You're invading. Definitely a feeling of them invading your space, invading your, just being around. And you in your heart of hearts, of course, you're like, you're up to something. You know what I mean? I can see that you're up to something. Again, this feels like an ex from you, Libra, that is really scorned, that has a lot of sort of spite, a lot of spite, a lot of grievance. Let's go ahead and begin to pull out some clarity here. But yeah, right away, scorned and invading, those toxic energies, those dark shadow energies are coming in strong for this reading, Libra. And it almost feels as though this person is coming around again to kind of get you back, right? Are they coming around again to somehow like pay you back for something? That's really a strong energy that's here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get some clarity. Father of Swords, so the King of Swords, wow. And the Ace of Wands, yeah. So for you, Libra, you're kind of just really wise to everything's going on. Like you can see right through everything that's happening. With the High Priestess and Father of Swords, or as it were, King of Swords, you have, not only do you have a sixth sense that you know exactly what's happening right now, but you can see it with your own eyes. And it's in the behavior of this person. You're dealing with somebody who really thinks they're getting away with something. They're trying to be very slick, very coy. Ace of Wands is there. They're coming on a scene like a real powerhouse, a firecracker. They're just around, but they're around with this kind of energy of, full well that everything they're kind of doing as a performance for you, right? It's that feeling of, I can see that I can see that this is for me, for my benefit. Whatever antics they're up there, or whatever behaviors, they may be very loud every time you're around, or suddenly they've got, a nice young person on their arm, boy, girl, doesn't matter. And it's like, you know what I mean? Everything is designed, everything they're doing comes across very obviously designed to get your attention and to get your sort of notice and to get your energy and to begin to pull supply out of you. And so you see all of this, you see right through all of this. Now, how do you guys see each other in this connection? Like when you see them, there's a Six of Cups there. So, there is a feeling of warmth here, actually. I think you've known this person for quite a long time. There's a history here. You see them and you just see the history with them. I'm going to say, they may indeed be playing on that. They're playing on some of your sentimentality. They're playing on some of the history, because when you're seeing them, you're getting a little bit mushy. Not that you're falling for any of their games, but you're just feeling, you're feeling your feelings. For them, they see you and it's a Page of Swords energy. It's just when they see you, they just have this overwhelming desire to get one, to win, right? They've got some confidence in them right now to really take it to you. And it's really, there is a cowardly aspect here. And I'm laughing because it just feels like they're kind of like a hurt, spiteful, out for vengeance kind of child who's coming around, jumping around, being very excited, acting up, trying to get your attention. And it's all such a very childish, sort of scene. Ultimately, they're hoping to sort of get your attention so they can drop you or dump you, or, the plan that they have is really kind of mediocre. It's not like any kind of, devious plan. It's like Six of Wands here. You have a victory because you see what's going on, and they have a Ten of Wands. Listen, it's like the whole thing that they're up to is really just to sort of get you involved again, just so they can pull some shiesty shit and like hurt you. Or be like, okay, you're into me now. Well, guess what? I don't really like you. Nah. It's that feeling. It's a really very childish, baby scorned feeling. Ten of Wands is there. They're really racking up a lot of sort of like, they're racking up a lot of games and burdens, right? Nothing's working. And they're just continuing to rack up sort of mistakes and pain. They're continuing, it's like they're robbing Peter to pay Paul, but in a game where they're not advancing at all in any kind of way. They're doing one scheme to sort of fix the fallout from the previous scheme. Or the action, they acted one way and it backfired, so now they're trying to sort of come up with another sort of game to play to sort of make up for that, and it's all just extremely childish, very futile, and it just isn't going to work. How do you see your roles? Well, for you, King of Pentacles, again, there's a feeling here that you're much older than this. Not, you may indeed be older in age, but just older in terms of wisdom, maturity, etc. You just kind of maintain your stability. You maintain your stability. Ultimately, Ace of Cups comes in for them. This is really interesting. I think at the heart of all of this, this is a person who really, really loves you, Libra. They do. They really, really love you, but they are so childish. This person is so immature and so childish and so unable to operate from a mature, emotionally mature position in a relationship, that it's like you've begun to sort of look at them literally as a child. Like you have no desire to be in any kind of connection with them, because it almost feels odd because they're just that immature. Yeah, that's how and nothing about what they do works. Yeah, Eight of Cups, you walk away. Ultimately, you walk away, like for good. And a Two of Wands, and they just keep pressing forward, pressing forward. They keep going. They're not aware of the fact that they've lost you. Ultimately, let's talk about them real quick before I go to you. Yeah, Eight of Swords energy. Ultimately, they really feel aggrieved and victimized. They feel like they're the ones. Two of Wands is there. They're going to keep pushing to try to get to you somehow, but ultimately it fails. And when they fail, they are absolutely incapable of taking any responsibility. And so it's almost as if you just get further proof that this person is just unviable. And the relationship, they're just not viable. It just cannot work. You ever meet somebody where it just cannot work because they're that damaged? And not damaged from necessarily like trauma per se, but just that immature and that unable to sort of work from any position in a relationship apart from playing games and, having this weird competition and like, you hurt me, yeah, I'm going to hurt you. Oh God, it's just like the vibe. I can feel it through the reading. It's just it's exhausting. Eight of Cups energy, you just walk away. You're done. It's like, ugh. And then shadow side comes in, the Devil. Listen, watch out. You're done with this person. They're extremely immature. Yes, I get it. But is the sex great? Because I got a feeling here some of you may go back to them and dip your toe in this nonsense simply because of the sex. Because that shadow side, that devil energy there, I'm sorry, but it's screaming out to me that you may indeed play with this individual. Don't play with them. You know what I mean? And you're like, perhaps, and this is just like possible energies here. This is kind of the fleeting energies, the ending energies of the reading, but it's not for sure, but just take care. All right. Because then at that point, then you are also behaving in a toxic way, in as much as you're playing with somebody that you have an advantage over. Even if they're the ones playing the games, you see their games. They're just operating from a very selfish, immature position. But for you to be wiser and to know better, and if you then still continue to interact with them in a way to really manipulate them and get what you want out of them, knowing that you know, their games aren't going to work with you, but you're going to get something out of them, then that's toxic. Okay, watch out with that. That's, those are some of those deeper urges that we have to be willing to look at the real meaning there. We have to be, that's the shadow work that we have to do on ourselves in terms of being truly honest with our motivations. So do take care with that. Please do not fall for the motivation of what you may think is low hanging fruit. Okay? You know what I'm talking about, low hanging fruit. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. It's a term. You know what I mean. All right, security is your oracle card. That makes perfect sense. Security, right? Do you feel insecure? Do you feel safe? Does your person feel insecure or safe? Your person, again, you're dealing with somebody extremely immature. I do believe they're coming from a position of, wanting security in some way, wanting attention and the connection with you because it does make them feel secure. Also for you, watch out. Is it easier to play with somebody like this who is not on your level, and basically in deep down inside you see them as being beneath you anyway? Is that a way for you to find support? So do take care. Really search your heart and your feelings. We also have the beneath opens up to you. Yeah, the beneath opens up to you. Darkness, darkness, or rather, that realm where all kinds of people are at, the beneath, the realm where certain types of individuals, certain intentions, certain emotions live. I don't want to say wallowing in the gutter or, playing with pigs in mud, but there is a feeling of that taking, don't, with that devil, that devil energy here, watching out about falling or allowing yourself to fall into toxic behavior because it's easy, or because you think that you can manipulate yourself or manipulate others in that situation because you see the toxicity. If you involve yourself in a toxic situation for the sake of manipulating it or allowing yourself to indulge in it, then you become a part of that toxicity. All right. So let's go ahead and pull 2 animal spirits for you for this reading, and then we are going to close this up. Yeah, Libra, dealing with somebody very childish, very immature. Of course, these readings can be vice versa, and of course, they're not going to resonate with everyone. You may only resonate with a certain portion of this reading or not at all, and that's fine too. But if you're getting something out of this, please go ahead and hit that like button. The likes really help my channel out, and I do appreciate it when you take the time to do that. So we have the vulture and the earthworm. Well, the vulture and the earthworm, air and earth. Well, the vulture is a necessary creature, a much maligned creature because of its, what it does. Its purpose is to eat dead things, eat and get rid of and consume the death around it, the rot and the death around. But without the vulture, we wouldn't be able to grow. Nothing new would come out. Nothing new would emerge. And so stagnation, deep stagnation and rot, and that's it. So the vulture is a beautiful creature, ultimately a necessary creature that really does the dirty work so that we can continue to grow. And so here we're talking about that as well. It's time to clean up the rot, and certainly in your life, in terms of dealing with somebody like this, to a certain degree, you have to face up to the fact that you're allowing this connection. And so, yeah, walking away from it, getting rid of the rot in your life, the detritus in your life, very important here. Earthworm energy, I think your person is resonating with that. Very, very new, the novice, the amateur, the person who is very insecure because they have no experience whatsoever. And of course, this person really feels like that. They feel like very out of their depth, and yet at the same time, really wanting to move forward with all of this shit here, these games. Ultimately, because it's a misguided way of showing you love. It's a misguided way of somehow getting back to you or getting connected to you. They simply just don't know the right way to do it. They're just so used to doing it in a very toxic fashion. All right, guys, I am going to call this a reading. This is your toxic love reading for the week for the sign of Libra. And we are going to come right back for the third sign that I pulled, the sign of Pisces. All right, Pisces. And the third sign that we pulled today for the toxic love reading, we're going to dive right into the 5 toxic elements of this connection. Right away, we have pain, lust, faithless, distant, and dependent. Wow. All right. So any one or all of these energies could be present in the reading today. Pain, lust, faithless, distant, dependent. So let's go ahead and jump right into your reading. Now, this is a toxic love connection reading. So we're going to be pulling out cards for you and your person. And, listen, toxicity goes both ways. So we're going to see, let's pull you out. 9 of Swords. Right away, we have regret. 5 of Swords, Knight of Pentacles, and the Ace of Cups. All right. Your person is coming in with star energy. Queen of Pentacles, Ace of Wands, and the Ace of Pentacles. At the bottom of the deck, we have death. So full transformation here. A full change in this connection. So right away, there's your pain, right? 9 of Swords. Absolutely, there is pain here. There is anxiety, regret, right? There's definitely a feeling of regret here. And as I look ahead, also a lot of fighting, a lot of arguing. So let's jump into your energies, Pisces. 9 of Swords and star for them. Yeah, as I say, pain and regret for you. For them, they're coming in this week with a wish fulfillment, right? Where's the toxicity here? Well, I'm going to say right away, this is a breakup, and there may indeed have been some cheating here, right? There may have been third-party energy here. Definitely a change. In tarot death, it means an irreversible change, the beginning of a transformation that just, you will never be the same again, right? And ultimately, death is about loss. It's about the end of something. And in order for anything to change, something about it has to end. It's in the essence of changing that you aren't what you are now anymore. You become something else. So what you are now dies, goes away, right? Ends. So this relationship is going through a major transformation, and yet your person is having a wish fulfillment here. There is a breakup here, right? There's a breakup. We have distant, we have pain. Let's see what the clarifiers say. Death again. Wow, Pisces. My goodness. And your person, 5 of Wands. So we have 2 5s presented here as we move ahead. Strife, arguing, a lot of strife and arguing, a lot of bickering back and forth. And at some point, I'm going to say they decided it wasn't worth it anymore. Right? This death has come in for you the hardest. The loss is felt on your side. How do you guys see each other? Well, as I say, you see them as 5 of Swords energy. 5 of Swords energy is just giving up. It's like, look, I've had enough of the fighting. You win, right? You win, and I'm not going to engage in this with you anymore. This is how you see them. So you you are very acutely aware of the fact that they've decided to end this connection, and they've mostly decided to end the strife that's associated with this connection. Your person sees you as a Queen of Pentacles. So listen, it feels to me like a lot of the pain and a lot of the fighting has something to do with the way that you have been, Pisces, sort of like, the way you have been valuing things in your life. They see you as Queen of Pentacles energy because it seems that perhaps you may have, put so much value and energy and attention into your goals, your business, your money, right? Yourself, your own physical self even, that's all they see. And so there's an aspect of neglect here and regret. There's the regret. And there's the pain, because I think you know exactly why this person is leaving. And a lot of it has to do with you and your work. I feel workaholic energy here as well, right? a real feeling that there was a betrayal here to a certain degree. Yes, a third party energy, but it can be as well that third party, not so much as third party as cheating, but betrayal in as much as putting all the energy into work when you promised you wouldn't, or you know what I mean, like surely the conversations have been had. You never just break up, right? A breakup like this happens after many conversations, and many times somebody, and particularly in this reading, I feel many times that this, the conversation has been had. I'm not happy, blah blah blah, but and yet the fight ensues and there's no progress. Another reason why your person has decided to give it up. Ten of Swords. Wow. Okay. Ten of Swords energy over that Empress energy. So again, having given up, it's over. It's done. It's finished here. You also realize it's over and done, right? You also realize it's over and done. Ten of Swords. It's the end. And I think that there's a wake-up call here in terms of your own pain. While I do feel that this individual here, I feel that they definitely broke up with you, that they were, they were the ones who were like, look, I'm done and I'm not happy in this anymore. Ultimately, I think that as a result of the breakup, you realize you weren't happy either. You weren't happy either. Listen, even if you're in you're in a toxic connection with somebody, and you could perhaps you could objectively say, okay, well, this person is the one who's being less reasonable, right? And in this instance, this workaholic energy I feel here, like, okay, perhaps you could say, yeah, you're the one who was, stepping out on the relationship in as much as putting too much effort into work, working too much, being too concerned with your own goals, etc., right? To a degree that you neglected this relationship. But there's also an aspect here of you not being happy either, or else you wouldn't have done that. Nobody, workaholic energy is addictive energy, and ultimately that comes from pain, right? And it ultimately comes from a place of trying to fill a need. So, there is pain there on your side too, or else you would not have, you wouldn't have acted the way that you acted, or you wouldn't have pursued the interest that you pursued that ultimately led to the demise of this relationship, the falling apart. And so when I come back to this Ten of Swords here for you, Pisces, you do wake up and realize that you too have not been happy for a long time. Your person comes in with Empress. So Empress over Queen of Pentacles is interesting. They are very similar and, very much sister energies, right? The Queen of Pentacles, in particular of all the queens, is a sister to the Empress, ruled very much by the same energy, Venus, Taurus. Empress here for them also is a feeling of, taking some time for themselves, absolutely. Taking time for themselves. And listen, pulling away, right, and taking time for yourself is a positive thing, okay? There's no toxicity here in that much. The toxicity that I feel in this connection is more to do with the lack of attention that was given, right? The lack of attention that allowed this relationship to die and to fall apart. But as the way you both come out, for them to come out with this energy here, it's very positive energy. It's energy that looks to a hopeful outcome, right? Now, interestingly enough, there is an outcome here of new beginnings for both of you. Ace of Pentacles for them and an Ace of Cups for you. Let's look at how you guys see yourselves in this relationship. This is a toxic love reading, Pisces, that may have a happy ending, because the Knight of Pentacles is doggedly determined to get its goal. And it could be that this wake-up call you get is just that, a wake-up call. They see themselves with this Ace of Wands. There is a feeling of, we have that beautiful butterfly energy there too. There's a feeling of possibly transforming. Yes, there's a death here in this relationship because the way you guys have been interacting was not viable anymore. It was toxic and ultimately pulling the relationship apart. But there feels like there's a chance here because of the wake up call that you both get and because of the necessary change that this relationship had to go through. And it almost feels like you guys get pulled back from the brink here. You don't want them to go. You love this person. There's deep love and connection here. But they want to be happy. And this time that they take to put into themselves is very, very important. It's something that they've needed for a long time. And for you, this wake up call of realizing how unhappy you truly are and how you were letting that out in the relationship has been a huge wake up call for you too. And yet you guys don't really give up. Son of Wands. Okay, so Son of Wands, Knight of Wands energy, moving forward. And the Nine of Wands. So your person is just at the end of their sort of rope, right? They're just there of like, okay, but not quite, They're willing to give it that one last push, in this relationship. And you are not letting go. There's a feeling here that you are just not letting go. Son of Wands, Knight of Wands. In this deck, it's called the Son of Wands, but in fact, it is the Knight. You have a Knight of Pentacles covered by Nine of Wands. There's no way you're slowing down. There's no way you're slowing down or stopping your objective of having love with this person again. So yes, you guys have two new beginnings here, but they don't feel like they're with other people. They feel like they're a new beginning with each other. And so this is a toxic love reading, one of the few, and it does happen in this series that I have on my channel, which, by the way, every Monday I post 3 zodiac signs. So also, if you enjoy this reading so far, go ahead and hit that like button. Those are my little calls to action that I have to put out there. Claim the reading as well. This is an energy exchange when you come to these readings. If you resonate with this and this beautiful outcome here, definitely claim the reading by hitting that like button. But this is a beautiful, beautiful opportunity here. Remember, aces are just that, opportunity. So ultimately, it's down to you to take the opportunity, but you're doing it. Clearly, you're doing it. And it is on you to do it because you're the one who screwed up for the most part. Yeah, you're the one who messed up. So it's on you. And yet, yeah, you're determined. Nothing is slowing you down. You don't want to lose this connection. So yes, there has been pain here. There has been distance here. But there's also dependent, but not in a toxic way, right? Perhaps that dependency is being turned around into a positive. Let me pull one of these. There it is. That's the one I wanted. Devotion. And yes, of course, because ultimately that's what I'm feeling here is devotion. Despite the fact of the pain, despite the fact that this is a breakup and feels like a breakup, and you indeed may have broken up. In as much as your person needed time for themselves and you needed to wake up and realize what you were doing wrong, right? What was going on. You needed a wake-up call and they needed time. So indeed, you may have broken up, but there is a real, real, real opportunity because of the deep devotion that you guys truly have to each other for you two to come back together. And in a very different way. Yes, death is there. The change has happened. Taking this opportunity and fighting for this relationship means that you don't go back to the way it was. So the death was necessary. It cannot be, you could never have had this opportunity. Let me put it to you this way. There would never have been a new chance or opportunity for you two without the death. And so in this way, sometimes we have to welcome death coming in as far as a symbol of change. What did we lose? Okay. What did we lose? So this is the thing. It's like you don't want that feeling here. You don't want to feel like, what did we lose? Right? And so this is the devotion and the deep desire to not lose this deep connection, to kind of push through and push through to a new stage, a new chapter, right? A new incarnation of this relationship. Why? Because of the devotion that is deeply, deeply there, the connectedness. Really nice reading ultimately. Yes, painful. There's a lot of pain there, but without that pain, you would not have gotten the wake up call that you need. And you may, any other way, this relationship could well have ended for good. Dragon and the tiger. Well, the dragon is that inner voice. It's that these are two strong animal spirits. The dragon is associated with the element of ether and is associated with the chakra at the solar plexus, which is the third chakra. Okay, so the third chakra, the solar plexus chakra, is our breath, our vitality, what drives us, the fire, the ember inside of us. And that is ultimately what is driving you here, the truth, your true essence that spurs you on. And that in this relationship, what is your truth? What do you hold? What do you really hold dear? Is it all the work and all of the different, different things that you've been focused on here outside of the relationship? Or is it the connection with this person? Of course, you find, I believe here, that it's the connection. Then you have tiger spirit, fire spirit. The tiger is associated with fear, overcoming fear, conquering fear, understanding your fears. Tiger is very strong, intuitional, feminine energy here, right? But the warrior feminine energy who, tigers hunt at night in the dark. They have to use their intuition and their senses and their experience and everything to hunt in pitch darkness, right? And so face their fears and trust their hearts. And so these are very strong animal spirits for this connection. This is it. I'm going to call it a reading. Pisces, this is your toxic love reading for the week. You were the third sign that I pulled out today. And so, yeah, this is a reading for Pisces who is having a serious wake-up call in a really strong love connection that has been toxic for quite some time. But there's every possibility here for you to turn this around. And yes, the onus and the effort must be made by you, Pisces. Of course, this reading could be vice versa. And of course, not everybody's going to resonate with all of it, but take what's yours, leave the rest on the table. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. This is Bow and Arrow Tarot. Every Monday, I upload the Toxic Love reading where I pull 3 random zodiac signs from my spread of signs, and we dive into possible toxic love connection and possible outcomes. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you guys next week on my channel. But for right now, I wish you all love, life, and happiness. Bye-bye now.